All right, good morning. Sorry I am a minute late, minute and a half late. I was typing away at something. It doesn't matter, nobody's watching anyway. This is all for myself now. But I enjoy it. It pushes me to act more, to realize my faults and grow. Anyway, this is Premarket Wake Up. My name is Frank. My community is called No More Paper Trading. The whole goal is to get away from sim trading and playing around and move towards profitability. I'm trying to build a wholly organic community. I'm not putting a whole lot of effort into it because I don't ever intend to milk this community at all. I don't ever intend to monetize it in any way whatsoever. I mean, if it really, really gets big, I might. Oh, no, I don't like Patreon. I don't care for that garbage. I want to become a trader, plain and simple. And the whole point of me doing this is to become more professional as a trader, more regimented. Anyway, what the heck happened Friday? I mean, not as bad as in April. Not even close, which is why I bought immediately once the day was over. But, I mean, I'm going to rant for a little bit, but I have to remind myself over and over again to not get into the weeds of it and not really care too much about how fickle our markets are. How a single post on social media can crash the markets. And I know it was more than that. And you know what? If I look back, it's probably happened before. Of course, there wasn't social media in the 20s, but just like I don't know, I forget exactly what caused the stock market crash in 29, but I'm sure there was a lot of things leading up to it that were building up, and there was a straw that broke the camel's back. I would not call Friday the straw that broke the camel's back. So yeah, therefore I think it is different. I think it is. I mean, I have no proof of this, but I'm pretty sure his friends, his colleagues, whatever, I'm pretty sure they bought at the end of Friday. And they probably sold everything they have before that point. I don't know. I think he should be investigated, but how do you prove something like that? I think markets have always been like that. And that's what I mean when you just trade. Just trade the charts. Make sure you have stops in place for days like that. And always look for historical precedent. And for the health of your mind and body, do not spend too much time on stock twits. It is a cesspool of idiots arguing about who's better. It's really weird. It's really strange to me as a trader. Like, even in my first 3 months of learning how to trade, it would have been strange to me to become bullish and just stay bullish and always make arguments for that or the opposite. I find that insane. I find that extremely stupid and probably one of the major ills of our modern social media society, where there's no nuances. People only want to watch videos that agree with them and tell them, you know, the sky is blue and always blue. Or whatever. Always tell them exactly what they want to hear. And everything is always this. Any issue, any topic is always evil. Such as the US president is always evil because we said so. Or he's always wonderful because everything he does is great. There's no gray area to anything. And you see that everywhere in society. So it's no wonder maybe then that we have entire days that are the result of one negative tweet. Or whatever it was. I don't know if it was on truth. I don't know what you call them on truth. But I finally capitulated and added truth to my list of sites I watch. Because now that any tweet he puts out can cause something, I have to be aware of that, and that sucks, but gotta remain neutral and everything. Anyway, what I'd like to do today is go over overnight movements and at the same time go over what I think could be the key areas for today. I am not going to push one way or another for a bullish day or a bearish day. I have no idea at this point. I did buy on Friday before the close. I might have bought a couple after the close. Futures anyway. After the normal trading hours close. But I'm not dead set on holding until we return to Friday's highs. As soon as I see price pull back to a certain level and show strength in the opposite direction, I'll probably will sell. I almost sold right here at around 720. Uh-oh, what was that? That's strange. All right. But I'm glad I didn't, because the traditional way I would trade would be to look at the VIX and see, this up here is the VIX, and see how it's trended up the entire overnight. And yet price hasn't really fallen, so that can be looked at as this is just a minor pullback and we're going to continue a downward trend. But then you look historically, back in April, the last time the US president talked about tariffs and all that, and the VIX did not recover right away. Price started recovering before the VIX recovered. By recover, I mean returned to the lower normal levels, less chaotic. And even if you look at relative, the VIX did not go anywhere near the levels it did in April. So I am not really, I'm paying attention to it, but I'm not giving it much weight at the moment. All right, let's start with the overnight movements. They're very similar in the ES and the NQ. The ES, I got in a trade way too early And then I added to it again at the close to give me this area right now. But I gotta give it to myself. I was pretty far down when it was down here. I was pretty far underwater and quite stressed out. It's not a whole lot of money compared to my account, but it's, I don't know. Any loss hurts. Anyway, the ES in the overnight, not quite as strong as the NASDAQ, which I guess would make sense. Did not return to bounce off of any key areas, except for this support area, which formed a long time ago. That formed all the way back on the 25th of September. But as you can see on Friday, that it's also where we almost stopped that massive sell-off. What was even more surprising was after the close on Friday that the market just kept going lower and lower. A lot of these large candles. And I actually, I don't know how I didn't notice this, or how I didn't know this before, but Bitcoin trades on the weekends. And I was desperate to look for something, for any indicator as to how the markets will open on Sunday night, how the futures markets will open on Sunday night. And I was delighted to know that Bitcoin trades on the weekend. I think I will start adding Bitcoin to my futures. You know what? I might take out gold or oil and add Bitcoin. Or just add it to my current 6 futures that I like to observe. Anyway, I think we only came back to gain more buyers, but we'll see. I think if we end up falling below, as far as looking into the day, if we end up falling below the P pivot point today, I think I will take that loss. Here's the daily. You can see just how much we've covered already. I don't know what, I don't know if we'll break the overnight high. I had meant to look up every time one of his tweets caused a quick crash or some reaction in the market, so I could see how long it took to recover. I'm skeptical that we will recover back to Friday's highs today. But then again, on Friday morning, I was skeptical that we would ever drop below previous month's close right here. But how can that's what's so scary about it. How can you predict that US president will open his mouth and crash markets? Anyway, let's why not look that up right now? How do you ask that question? All right, so some of the stuff I'm finding goes, these are articles written in 2020, and I guess you wouldn't call it a tweet anymore, would you? You'd call it a truth? Huh. I just understand the pun right now, or the irony of calling it a truth. I guess that would be hard. That would be a heck of a project to put together all of his tweets related to geopolitics and markets and pretty much anything, and look how it correlates to intraday stock prices. That would be a heck of a thing. The biggest one we had was back in April. I don't remember what he said. I don't remember if that was... No, that wasn't the day he... I forget what they call it. Ridiculous name, Freedom Day or some crap. But that time... I don't know. I'm going to have to put this together for another time. Or spend more time on it than just right now. If I had infinite time in the world, I would probably put out a video of some sort about it on my channel, but I got to make money. This is kind of a rare chance. I think I ended up losing money the last time he did this because I was unfamiliar with it and a worse trader. Anyway, let's go over the overnight moves. Perhaps I'll make an attempt to use AI to build up a list of times that he caused major movements in the markets. I usually don't trust AI because you have to just double check everything it says. If you even can. Everything is AI anymore. Maybe I'll try to do that at the end of my overnight analysis and taking a look at the news later this week. But anyway, let's take a look at the NASDAQ. Very similar. I got in a little bit earlier in the NASDAQ. I should have taken more than one contract, but I think I'm a little too cautious. I'm more cautious with my futures trading because it's harder to master, I would say, than longer term investing. Not much different from the ES. I really have nothing else to add. I would say if we pulled back into this area here that was also built on September 25th, this area of support or resistance. They consider this support, but it could easily turn into resistance. If we pull back to that, I think I will close the trade. That might be a bad idea. That might be what they want. Who knows? Anyway, heading higher, we have last month's close to get through, which we failed once already in the overnight. And then beyond that, last month's high. And again, I don't see us getting up there in one day. I hope we do, but I'm skeptical. We'll see. I kind of want to return to normal trading behavior, normal volatility, which would actually probably mean that we return close to like the 25,185 area. Overall, I am still quite bearish, but I must remember last time I had that attitude, the market can remain bullish a lot longer than you realize. It can basically run on fumes for years. And you think you're going to catch it time and time again. You're not gonna. You just got to look for confirmation. You got to realize you're never going to get into a trade at the perfect time. All right, let's take a look at the Russell. So every market kind of recovered quite a bit, but they're all holding right below last month's close. The Russell also barely making it over last month's close before dipping back down. I would look out for price as it gets there again. I did not enter a trade in the Russell. I might end up scalping this today because it's the only micro futures equity market that I did not, besides Bitcoin, that I did not place a long-term trade in. If we head lower, of course we have Friday's close and the overnight low, as well as this main pivot point. If no major news events happen today, which it might not because it is a minor U.S. holiday. It's a bank holiday, I believe. But I could see us just barely remaining above the pivot point for the entire day. And you might have periods of high volume and zigzag movements. If that's my, if I have to guess. But I'm not going to make a 100% prediction like everyone does on stock twits. And the worst is when someone, I try to block them all. When someone, a common tactic among the gurus, I'll call them financial gurus on stock twits, they'll all day long just sit there and call levels, spy to this level, or it's going to crash to this, or it's going to crash to that, and then when one of them becomes true, they repost it, say, look, I was right. Please join my chat room. There's sales going on right now, and all that crap. And they catch people. They definitely catch people, hopeful people that think that this can be easy. But so if you're making correct predictions at a high level, there's no way in heck you're sharing that with anyone else. And there's no way you would need to monetize it. Those picks, those signals. It's just common sense. You would trade them. If you were that good of an analyst and had consistency in making picks and correct analysis, you wouldn't be selling that analysis. You would be trading it and making 10x what you could make by selling classes or whatever the heck they sell. Memberships. Anyway, ran over. It just really bothers me, and it's the whole reason I started this, and I want this community to grow organically. I think there's far too many people that are a stain upon our trade, our careers. They turn it into this hype thing where get rich quick scheme type crap, to the point where when I tell someone I'm a trader, they automatically, isn't that gambling? Isn't that scams? Isn't it rigged? Alright, ran over. I already said ran over and I didn't shut up. Alright, let's take a look at the Dow. The Dow actually has a long way to go to even get back to the pivot point and then last month's close. So I would maybe consider the Dow a little weaker than the others, but that's only if you compare them. Again, I entered a trade at close, or close enough to close. Made me sweat for a little while. The Dow does not have, and the Russell did not build a serious area of resistance or support near September 25th's lows and close. But I would say I would exit. I would exit my little trade here if price did fall below the S1 pivot level at 45,667. So Friday actually stopped at a pretty nice level. I wish I would have gotten in down there, but price stopped almost exactly at last month's low, the low of September. I did some very terrible trades on the way down, trying to catch the low, I guess. I'll take a look at that real quick. When price halted at around 11:30, 11:40, I tried taking a long. It was pretty foolish. Maybe not. We could have recovered from that point. That was current month low. That was the low of October 1st, where it did halt for a little while. So it wasn't a terrible idea. But anyway, take a look at gold. I saw a really good statement. I think there's a couple bigwigs, I'll call them. I don't remember who said it, but money managers that said there's something off about gold reaching the levels that it's reaching. I mean, we've rocketed since breaking out of the triangle back on the 2nd of September. I could have made it, if I would have noticed that earlier, I could have made a trade that could have retired. That's how much gold has grown. And the whole idea is that it's not healthy for the U.S. economy to have gold grow that much. It's a sign of, I would say, money slowly moving out of the markets into a safe, relatively safe asset, more solid. You would call that going to cash. Some people would consider putting money in gold as going to cash. Which I don't know. So Thursday, gold pulled back pretty good. And then Friday, there wasn't much movement. Maybe that's, I don't know. I don't know what to think. I've heard many theories about gold. Why it's growing so quick. And I'm not sure any of them are correct or make any sense. But the overnight has been up. And at least for the past month, gold has been somewhat more correlated to the equities than it normally is. I think that is some people's sign of a impending bear market, is when gold becomes correlated to the equities and both are going up. But I don't know, I've never seen that before in my experience. Anyway, kind of have like a cup pattern growing here. I don't know how to draw those lines on trading view. How do you even draw like a multi-point line? See how it cups? It's kind of moving a little flat. I think that's because it recovered to last week's highs. I'm sure some people are pumping the brakes once that happens. I personally would not enter a long-term trade into gold right now. It just seems way too overextended. If we recovered a bit, definitely if we came back to current month low, I mean last month's low is very far down there. If we're going that far down, I don't know. But for me to enter gold in any kind of long-term trade, I would need some pullback over several days. Going into today, I'd say look out for a pullback to last week's highs, for sure, at 4,081. I would probably only enter a short-term trade if it did that. Going further, I don't know where it would stop. All right, let's take a look at oil. Interesting. I'm glad I didn't enter an oil trade. I was considering it maybe. Being that on Friday, oil crashed with everything else. You would think it would recover with everything else, but no, that's right. I'm not thinking about it right. So if peace is coming to the Middle East, whatever, peace in quotes. I think there'll ever be peace in the Middle East. At least a ceasefire, we'll call it. You would see a drop in oil. The machine of war requires oil. And if the machine of war is slowing down, they're not buying as much oil. Pretty common sense. So anyway, the overnight gapped up a little bit, rose considerably for the first 5 minutes, and then has been stuck at this general area, which it eventually did kind of reject Friday's opening range low. Hit perfectly on the S1 pivot point. That would have been a decent trade had I thought of it. But going into today, I would say, I don't know. Might just range for today, oil. With it being a holiday, might not be much action. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see what Bitcoin's doing. Why not? So this would be Friday's close, I believe. Yeah. I still have not had time to put my indicators on it. And this would be Forex. So Bitcoin versus US dollar. I gotta find the market I would want to trade. Bitcoin futures are not open on weekends. Just Bitcoin Forex. And I don't know what else. I don't know if any Bitcoin ETFs or anything like that are open. But I'll find out what the most liquid product is that would make sense. You know, what is the size of a contract or whatever, a basket. I forget what they call it in Forex when you buy it. I think it is a basket of, maybe it isn't. I don't know. Anyway, Bitcoin is what I watched and what I saw recovering Saturday. At least not falling anymore on Saturday. And then, of course, early Sunday, preparation for the overnight, it started coming back up. We'll see what happens when it gets to Friday's close. Who knows? All right, let's take a look at the VIX. Ooh, I missed that. Big drop in the VIX. That could be considered good. At least I would consider it okay. I'd like to see us come back down. Oops, I didn't change. Sorry. I'd like to see us come back down into this channel in time for earnings. The big earnings are coming out. I don't know if it's Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon, but I don't know. I think despite me being bearish, I think the earnings will be, I don't know if manipulated is the right word, fudged. They'll be good, no matter what, in time for Christmas bonuses. Maybe. I don't know exactly how that all works, but I have a feeling that they're gonna really try to impress. And we'll see. We'll see how the market takes it. I think you'll see it pretty quickly. Within the first few rounds of earnings coming out, you'll see how the market will react. If you have a company beating earnings pretty good, beating estimates, and the market not reacting positively to that, I think that would be a good sign to go flat or to exit some trades. But we'll see. The entire history of the US markets is being overextended and overhyped and all that. That's how you make money. Anyway, the dollar also had a pretty good drop on Friday and is now recovering as well. I don't say too involved with the dollar, but that's what happened there. All right, let's take a quick look at news, and then I'm out of here. I don't think I have time to, while I'm streaming, to look up past Trump events and all that. Maybe I'll just take one look at the April one. See, match up the times of when he truthed or tweeted or whatever, when the market reacted and how it recovered and when it recovered and all that. Today, not much. Minor Fed speech. I think this is the Fed budget coming out at 2. Federal Reserve Banks, yeah, okay. IMF meeting at 8 o'clock tonight if you trade the overnight. I don't know how significant that will be. But tomorrow's a big day. Powell's giving a speech tomorrow at 12:20 Eastern Standard Time. A couple other Fed speeches tomorrow. Let's take a look at the earnings. Oh, I forgot to switch it. I'm sorry. Anyway, there's the earnings calendar. $8 p.m. tonight, IMF meeting. Powell speaks tomorrow at 12:20. I will not be trading during that time. All right, let's take a look at earnings. They changed it up a bit. I don't like it. Oh, that's a quarter map. Okay. So tomorrow morning we have BlackRock, JP Morgan. JP Morgan is a huge one. So what's bad with that is JP Morgan stock has been up, making all-time new highs several times over the past couple months. So it might be overhyped in coming into earnings. Here's the daily JP Morgan. Well, it's actually been down going into the earnings rather. Pre-market's up, obviously, we see that already. So tomorrow morning, a lot of eyes will be on that. They beat by quite a lot. 16% beat last time. So I think people will be trying to look for 20% beat. I don't know if they could pump that out. We'll see. I might be selling by tonight. My longer term everything. I gotta see exactly what time that comes out. Also Goldman Sachs, Citi, Wells Fargo tomorrow. Domino's. Huge one, Domino's. After the close tomorrow, not much. Wednesday, some more big ones. Morgan Stanley, Citizens isn't that big. Bank of America, ASML. TSMC on Thursday. I'll take a look at more at this later in the week. We'll see. Could be a crazy week. Let's take a look at the Fed Watch calendar. See if that changed at all over the weekend. Oh yeah, it did. Oh, I thought it did. So it was actually very high on Friday. I don't even know if I looked at it. So we're actually lower today. I think it's a little bit too optimistic right now with what the Fed might actually do. So yeah, I'm even more cautious about markets in general right now. Also down in December, probability. Not by much, but still down. We'll see where that is by tomorrow. Let's see if any headlines are going on right now. Just more headlines on the same freaking thing. They already reported on this. I don't know what's so significant about it. Let's see if anything changed. Yeah, it's the same tweet or whatever the hell you call it. Yeah, they're just rehashing the same articles. It's just pathetic, Yahoo. Again, more of these AI companies passing money around. Jeez. I might, if I don't know. I might consider shorting Salesforce. How do you invest money into a city that's doomed? Wow. And what does Salesforce have to do with? They're basically going to make San Francisco a tech hellscape. Facial recognition cameras everywhere. That's all it is. I don't know. I think AI is way overhyped, but they really haven't brought out anything beyond language learning models or the ones that create video, which still, you can tell it's AI. And the leaps that they did have aren't as big as they were anymore. We'll see. We'll see if they can turn this around like they did for the internet back in the 90s. The dot-com bubble was overhyped about the internet, and then market crashed a little bit and then recovered because there really was a lot of money in the internet. I don't know if I see the same thing with AI. I really don't. There's a lot of dystopian promise in AI. Maybe for governments, they like it, but it's terrible for people and the economy at large. We'll see, though. I've been wrong before. All right. 5 minutes basically till market open. We'll see what happens. I think we're opening at a good spot. But I promised I'll take a look at nah, I'm gonna skip it. I don't want to look back on that. I gotta get ready to trade. Sorry I went back and forth so many times, but there's no one watching anyway. So I'd be doing it for myself only, and it wouldn't really shed much light on my trades now anyway. I'm committed to them no matter what. Not no matter what, but I'm committed to them even if I do see that, I don't know, timing's off or something. To me, it looks like there's a good chance over the next 2-3 days we're going to rise back up to Friday's, at least the open, maybe not the high, but close to Friday's levels. High, anyway. We'll see. All right, I'm out of here. Good luck. Goodbye.